Great. Welcome in, everyone. Today's workshop, we are going to be making a iron-on project. So I just have our project today is going to be something that you can make up quick and easy, that you can multiply across if you need to make a bunch for like a birthday favor, or you're doing something for a wedding, or anything like that. You can make a bunch of these all at one time. Now I will be using the Cricut Maker 4, and some of the differences between the 4 model and the 3 model, it's just the speed. So your Maker 4 work cuts a little bit faster than your Maker 3 or your original Maker. All of your accessories are the same between your 3 and your 4, so you don't need to go out and get new accessories if you upgraded. Like I saw, Lisa has an Explore 2 and she just got the Maker 4. So that is super exciting. You'll be able to use your Joy for our project. Any Cricut machine that you have, you'll be able to make. Now, what is the first thing you need to do? First thing you need to do is create a space for you to craft. Somebody mentioned as we were warming up and getting started that they don't even have their maker out of, or their, I think it was a Cricut 2 out of their box. And the biggest obstacle to crafting is the amount of time you spend setting something up and putting something away. And it doesn't really matter what craft you're doing. You could be beading, you could be, using your Cricut, your scrapbook, anything that you are crafting in. A big part of getting to doing it is the setup and the takedown. So if you don't have a little nook or corner that you can say, I can leave my machine right there, make a space. So there are these great little carts, and unfortunately I don't have one handy, but there are rolling carts you can get at Michael's that fit your Explorer and your Maker perfectly. And you can just put it on the cart with a little bit of your supplies and push it into a closet and pull it out of a closet, and you have everything you need right there. You also can use design space with a laptop, an iPad, or a phone. So whatever mobile device you have. And in fact, the makers and I think this started with the 3 level, where you have a little ledge here where you can set your phone or your iPad right on this ledge. And there's a USB port, or there used to be in the Maker 3, I think it's still here. So there's a USB port on the side that you can charge your device with your machine. So if you're like, I don't have a lot of space to work in, get yourself a little cart that you can put your maker on, or whatever machine you have, and you can tuck it in and out. Even if you are in like a little tiny space and you're like, I just have a room, use your Cricut Joy. The Cricut Joy is tiny but mighty. So that would be my first piece of advice to getting started, is give yourself a little corner, a little bit of space that can just be for you. And if you have little fingers running around, that cart that can just be tucked in a closet certainly is helpful to keep those little fingers out of your crafts. Now, the other thing to get started is open up your new product and connect it with Design Space. So Design Space is the software that makes your Cricut machine go. It's kind of like the in between you and your machine. You put all your ideas into the software, Design Space, and then all those are translated over to your cutter, and it cuts that out for you. It is its own ecosystem, so you can't use another design software to talk directly to your machine, but in Design Space, you can upload designs. So if you are a crafter or a designer, you use Photoshop or Illustrator and design your own SVGs, you can upload those into Design Space and send them over. You also have a huge library in Design Space of free images, as well as Cricut Access, which is the library of all of the images and fonts that are available. It's a monthly or annual fee, and then you can just use everything that's in there. So if you craft a lot, I would definitely say it's worth its money. It's worth the investment in that. If you only craft once or twice a month, people ask me all the time, like, do I need to get Cricut Access? As a crafter, I craft a lot. So Cricut Access, I actually do use quite a lot. But if I were not crafting as much as I do, if you just, use it once a month or twice a month, you should probably have enough in the free images to work with. Plus, you can buy the images in Cricut Access a la carte. So that means, like, if you're working on a specific project, a birthday project, or a little project today, the little thank you project, you can buy this image for 99 cents and cut as many of that image as you want. Once you purchase that image, it's in your Cricut Access library 100% of the time, or you can design and upload your own image into there. So I'm going to let Felicia kind of help me if questions are coming in too fast, Felicia, that I don't get. Please feel free to pop in and ask me those questions before I move on away from it. So, okay, I see a question about the rolling cart. I did find a rolling cart that will hold up to 200 pounds. It has storage and can fold up. It has 3 areas for the Cricut makers and another for an EasyPress. That is great. So whatever you find that works for you, use it. Even if you have to just make your own cart, you can definitely do that. So the connection, you have your laptop or your mobile device that has Design Space on it, and you've registered your software, you've registered your machine. So this is the new Cricut Maker 4, and I have to say, this is even, the color on this is more gorgeous in person than it was when I was seeing it online. So if you have a chance to go to your local Michael's and check it out, it really is beautiful, and this color is exclusive to Michael's only. Not the Maker 4, but just this yummy color. One other thing I will touch base on of the different machines that are out there. Obviously, you have your Cricut Joy, which I call the cubby hole cutter because it's really tiny and it just fits in a little space. Then you have the Joy Extra, which is designed like for 8.5 by 11 style designs. You have the Explorer, and then you have the Maker. The big difference is the Maker has a whole bunch of compatible blades that you can use with just the Maker. So you have the 2 holders here. You have clamp A and clamp B, and clamp B mostly, oh, no, is that right? Yeah, clamp B is your blade holder. The blades in your Maker work on a what's this called, a wheel system. So you have a housing unit and then a variety of different blades that you can use with that housing unit. I am also a sewer, so I work a lot with fabric, and that is what pushed me to get my first Maker, because I could cut out fabric with the Maker and your rotary blade right here. So that's the main difference. You can do a lot more with your Maker. You have like a scoring blade, you have a debossing blade, you have a deep knife, you have the rotary cutter. I think there's like 13 different attachments. So you really can cut a lot more material. Up to 300 different types of material have been tested with this machine versus I think like 100 on the Explorer. So I think if you're just getting started in the hobby, the Joy or the Joy Express is perfect. And if you're a seasoned crafter and you want a machine that's going to grow as you do a variety of different machines, the Maker is the machine for you. Also, it does both the 3s and the 4s do smart materials, which allow you to cut matless. So you don't have to use a mat with that. So in today's workshop, I will be showing you how to use smart material where you don't need to use a mat, and we're going to work with some iron-on material. So why don't I share my screen here and we'll dive into, we're going to dive right into the Design Space home screen here. Let me pull this up. Okay. All right. So, oops, I lost my Zoom. Here we go. I'll share my screen here. Here we go. All right, so here we are in the home screen, and I'm gonna definitely, Felicia, we're gonna have to make sure we save time at the end to answer all these good questions, because there are a lot of good questions coming in. So keep dropping in your questions. I will try and answer them as we go along. But if I don't get to them all as I'm moving, I will set aside about 5 or 10 minutes to answer all those questions. So when you come into Design Space, you should be greeted with your home screen. And I think this is my home screen here. Oh, here we go. It'll say, "Hi, Kesley, what do you want to make?" Now, if you want to follow me, you can find people whose designs that you like, that you want to do. You'll have your profile right up at the top here, and you can follow along with projects that I've created if you want to. You can either type in Coach Kesley or Kesley. As far as I know, I'm the only Kesley in Design Space so far. Okay, so when you come into Design Space, you'll have some ideas to get you started. As you scroll down, you can make a lot of different projects. If you're looking to work on cards or you want to make t-shirts, you've got a lot of inspiration right here on your home screen. Once you've gone into your home screen and you're ready to make something, you click on this top tab that says Make. And this will take you into your, I already had a project here. Let's go new. This will take you into your canvas. And the canvas is set up. This is where you do all of the designing. Now, at first, I totally understand. We used to teach a Cricut 101 class. And in fact, on the Michael's YouTube channel, the Cricut 101 and Cricut 102 classes are up there. And it really will walk you through all of the tabs and all of the editing bits on the top and get you started with a few projects that just kind of take that pain of what am I looking at on this canvas out for you. So the first thing, I know I tend to jump into a project and get really big. So if you're just getting started, I recommend starting with Cricut's images and working with just their images, maybe making 5 projects with a single image, and then growing from there and learning from there. Oh, thank you, Felicia. She just popped that into the chat. So for this project, the first thing we want to do is find an image that will work for our project. So you click on images on the left-hand tab here, and you can type in what you want to search for. So if I want to do thank you, maybe you're just doing a simple thank you, or you want to, I saw there was like, thank you for helping me grow. I was looking for one that had like a little lavender in it because I was doing a little lavender sachet. But if you wanted to do something and put like air dry clay with some flowers on it, flower seeds on it for a teacher gift, you could select the thank you for helping me grow idea there, or you could just do this one, you know, whatever inspires you. If anybody has a project that you're working on and you want me to look for a specific thank you project, drop it into the chat and I will pull something specific up. Otherwise, you can even type in your own using the text. So I'm just going to say thank you, and we'll just do a simple thank you until I see something else pop through. Like if you're working on a teacher gift or something. Now, you'll notice in the image, some of these images have this little purple icon next to them. That means those are designed by a Cricut artist. So if you like that image, you could actually click on that image, add it to your canvas. But then you can also go to this designer's page and learn more about that designer. So if I wanted to, if I liked that look, I would just click on the image and go down to the bottom where it says image information, click on the image information, and then click on, let me see if I can get this. If I click on that image information, this is by A to Z Digital. I can click on that and then see all of the different designs that this individual has put up on the marketplace. And as you can see, there is a price with each one, but since I have Cricut access, I don't have to pay each one that I want to use. I can just use as many of those designs as I'd like. So I just wanted to kind of give you that information as you're looking through and trying to understand it. I do want to have a design that is more one on top of the other because my design space is 3 inches by 3 inches. So once you've brought your image onto your canvas, you'll notice at the top here, all of the edit features are now lit up. So now you can use the different edit tools to either make your image larger, smaller, flip it, rotate it, whatever you want to do to that image, you can do right here. I am going to use black material, so I'll keep this color, that color. And if you wanted to change the color, let's say you're going to use like pink, and you can just click on that little box right there at the on your edit bar, and you could change the color if you wanted to see, what things would look like in different colors. You can do that right there. Now I just need to make this 3 inches. So we're going to do that 3 inches. And now I've got my design, the right size that will fit on my little tote here. And actually, I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller, 2.5 inches. So it changes the proportion consistently with the width and the height. But you can turn that toggle off and make your design a little longer if you wanted to, or a little taller if you wanted to. Okay, so you can do that either way. Let's just go back to how it started off. Now, once you have that on your design, you could send this over to your machine and you're ready to cut. I'm not going to save this one yet. I'll be cutting without a mat, and we can send that right over to cut right there. But what if I wanted to cut out 30 of these or 15 of these or 10 of these because I was making a whole bunch for teachers or a wedding gift or something like that? I could increase the number of items I'm cutting right here by increasing my project copies to 10. And now you see I have a whole bunch of different designs on there. But one of the things I wanted to show you was how to do something quicker. So how do you weed a little bit faster? Weeding is removing the excess part of your design. So you would weed out the elements around your design and the little dots here that you don't need. We would weed those out. So to make it easier to weed your design, I like to go into shapes, and I'll grab a rectangle or square shape that's about the size of my design. And you see all these shapes that are in here. You've got a lot of free shapes, and then you've got shapes that come with your Cricut access too. So I'm going to take this shape and put it around my thank you. So I changed my color to white. I'll change the position so it goes behind the thank you. And I'm just going to select both of these and align them to the center. So now you can see my little square back there is a little bit smaller than I need it to be. I need it to be more of a rectangle shape here. And I'm just going to bump it out to the edge of my design. Now, why am I doing this? Because when I go to cut this, I will have an edge around the thank you, which will make it easier to locate on my material, and it makes it easier to weed. So we'll have that little box there. Now, if I send it over to my machine as is, it will send it as 2 different pieces. One will cut out of black and one will cut out of white. It will also change the position of the design on the mat. So when I send this over, it puts the white on one mat and then the black on another mat. That's not what I want. I want that square, the rectangle around the thank you. And what happens is I need to bring those 2 elements together. So you're going to select both of those elements, and I just use my my mouse and I just drag my arrow across both of those. You don't have to even go, across both of them. As long as you get a bit of each, it will select both of those layers, and then you can attach them together like it's a paper clip. So when I attach those together, it does change the color because it's saying, okay, those are now attached. We're going to cut those out together. And then when I send it over to my machine, it will put them on the same mat and I'll cut them out together. Now, again, what if I wanted to make a bunch of these? Let's say I needed to make 6. So I'm going to increase my number by 6 and apply that onto my page. And as you can see now, it'll cut 4 across. So let's go up to 8. So we get an even number across there. So I have 4 pieces across my cutting mat. Now you can choose to move these around if you wanted to, like if I wanted to give myself a little more space or move it around on the side, you can do that if you want to. In this instance, I wouldn't do that. I'd want it to cut just as it is. I'm going to use material, smart material, so I don't need to cut with a mat. And I just need to make sure that my material is 13 inches wide by 6 inches tall. Now, when you do iron on, you want to mirror your work because you actually cut out of the back side of the material. And I'll explain that a little bit when we get there. So you want to make sure that your image is mirrored when you're cutting with heat transfer vinyl. And then we're going to continue and select our machine to connect to. Now, I do have mine connected with the USB port because I think for when I do a class, I like it to make sure it's as stable as possible. But the Bluetooth connection is really easy and it allows you to be, across the room from your machine. You don't have to be like right next to it. So we're going to be using the Smart Iron-On Matless Heat Transfer Vinyl. So I'm going to select that material. And it will remind me to make sure that your mirror is turned on, which it is, and it will actually automatically turn it on for me. I've cut this material before, so I know the default pressure is the right pressure that I need. So now I'm ready to cut. If you're using a material that you haven't used before, I do recommend doing a test cut to make sure that your machine settings cut the right way. So I have already trimmed a piece of the matless heat transfer vinyl for my machine. You'll notice you have a really shiny side and then a very dull side. When you put your material in your machine, you want to cut with the dull side up. The shiny side is a carrier sheet that holds your material all together. So you don't want to cut the carrier sheet, you actually want to cut the material. And that's why when you're using a heat transfer vinyl, you need to mirror your image because it cuts it in reverse. Okay, so this is how easy it is to load your material in. We're just going to slide it under the, there's little like clamps on the side, but they don't clamp down. So they're just guides. You can kind of see them there. And my light is flashing. So I'm going to go ahead and hit to go ahead and start. And the first thing it does is it's going to measure my material to make sure I have enough material in my machine to make the cuts that I'm asking it to cut. I'd say I'm going to double check. I make sure I had it cutless, right? Smart Iron-On Matless Heat Transfer Vinyl. Okay, so let me get this set up again. There we go. I was at a funky angle. Oh, no. All right. There we go. Third time's a charm, right? So it just measures it and makes sure that you have enough material in there to cut it. And then as soon as it's ready to start cutting, you'll get a flashing light for the play button. And you just click that and it will start cutting out those images I have on there. Now, what's new about the 4 model is that it goes even faster than your 3 model. Using the matless material also speeds up your process because you don't have to attach your material onto a mat and then remove it off of the mat. So we're just going to do it right on the matless material right there, which makes it go faster. In the software, I was able to select to cut out 8 of these designs instead of having to manipulate and place them. It does all of that math for me. So that's part of what makes it a faster process than you may have seen in the past. Now, there was a question about material. Karen asked, how do you know which cutter to use with which material? Well, all of the machines cut the same material, the base of the same material. So your Cricut Joy cuts, I think, like 50 materials, and then you go up from your Joy Express cuts a little bit more, your So I see what you're asking me. How do you know what it cuts? In the software, that's a really good question. So let me show you. In the software, oh, I can't show it right now while it's cutting. I'll show you. In your software, though, you select what machine you're going to be cutting to. So before you even send it to your machine, you say, I'm using like my Joy, my Explorer, my Air. And then when you choose your material, it will narrow down the materials that will work with that particular machine. So for example, if you were cutting fabric, you would need on an Explorer. You can cut fabric on an Explorer using the standard knife, using the standard blade, but you need to put a bonding fabric on the back of your fabric. So like a stabilizer on the back of your fabric for it to cut versus your maker where you use your rotary tool. That's this one. You use the rotary tool and then you would combine that with the pink fabric mat. If you were cutting, say you were cutting chipboard, you'd use a strong grip mat. If you're cutting paper, you would use a light grip mat. And if you're using, vinyls or anything else, you use the standard grip mat. One thing about your mats, you always want to make sure that you keep your little plastic sleeve here on your mat. That's what keeps it protected. And that's what helps your mat stay fresh longer. You can clean it though. I use like baby wipes to clean it off, or you can use like Dawn dish detergent to clean it off if you need to. All right. So that was a good question, but I will show you once this is done cutting, I'll share my screen again and show you kind of how you can find out where it is. With your machine though, with your Maker 4, you do get a lot of products to start working with right out of the gate. You have a whole packet of iron-on material. I think it has 2, 4, 7 different pieces of iron-on material to work with. You have a packet of 7 different vinyl materials to work with, and you have cardstock packet to work with, as well as your transfer tape to work with your vinyls. And then just so you can kind of mess up and not worry about, what you might be cutting with, in this little package, you get a variety of materials to just play with and make mistakes and learn how to cut. Okay, so now that that has all cut, I'm ready to kick it out of my machine here, and I just hit the flashing arrow again, and that pops it right out of your machine. That process is the same no matter which machine you're working with. So you'll do that with any of the different machines. Now, once I have it cut out, I just can use my paper trimmer and trim this down. So I'm only working with the material that I've cut. So I just need to cut down about 6 inches and trim that off. The Cricut paper trimmer, I will say, I do recommend this one because it is 13 inches long. Most paper trimmers are only 12 inches long. And when you're working with the Smart material, it's 13 inches wide. So you need a paper trimmer that will cut that width for you. Okay, so let me show you again how to, let's see, oops, that's not what, let me go here and share my Cricut Explorer. Okay, so here we're gonna say we're done. Now, when you come into your machine, you can choose which material, what you're cutting with, so which machine you're using. So let's say you have your design and it's, pretty big. Let's just bump this up just to give an example. 12 inches by 8.37. If I were to choose the Cricut Joy, I would get an error message that says, nope, that's too big. You can't cut it with that. So it would tell you, you've got to make it smaller. So if I made it smaller, and I don't know if this will work because I don't have it connected to the Cricut Joy. I'm not sure if it'll show you guys what I'm trying to do. It won't let me, it'll only pick up my oh, no, because I don't have this one plugged in. So it won't let me show you what I want to show you, but I will show you with the Maker 4. When you go to select how you're going to cut it, let's say we're going to cut it on the mat. When you select your materials, it will give you all the materials that you could possibly cut with the Maker 4. So if you're using the Cricut Explore, you won't have as many materials to cut with. So you could do browse on materials and see all the different materials that you can cut with the specific machine that you have. So like bamboo fabric, you may not be able to cut on an Explore. Burnout velvet, chambray. I know like with the crepe types of fabrics, they don't show up on your Explore machine. So that's how you can kind of get an idea of what materials your specific machine can cut. Now that I have my design cut, and you know what, Felicia, maybe I should have used my overhead camera. If I can pull that over. We'll start that. So I can show everybody how to do the weeding. There we go. Got that. All right. So if you're, thank you, Felicia. So when you have your design, and as I said, I cut out little boxes around each design. So I'm just going to remove that part first. So we just will remove that. And now I have revealed where each of my design is. So I know in each of these squares, I have a thank you. And all I need to do is go into each square, and I like to push out the inside bits first because your carrier sheet is sticky. It's holding that material onto there. So if you are cutting out, like weeding out the inside pieces first, that's what I like to do. And then I'm using the EasyPress to press this onto my machine. So I've got my EasyPress, and I just need to find my settings, my heat settings, and we'll use the Cricut heat guide to do that. And I'll show you how to do that really very easily. So what I would do is if I were weeding all of these pieces out at once, I would go through and remove all of the inside pieces. And then I'm able to come out and just grab the outside piece and weed this part out next. And once you get it started, you can just walk it off with your fingers and remove the extra pieces. But again, this is sticky. So if you did that outside part first, then your hand would be sticking as you go along. So that's just my little personal way I like to do it. And if I were doing a bunch of these, if I were making, all 6 of these, I may weed multiples at one time, depending on the size. I gotta get that little piece out there. The size of my EasyPress. So I have next to me the 9x9 EasyPress, which will let me do 2 to 4 of these little pieces at once. So if I wanted to do 2 at one time, I would just weed the second one out, and we're just removing the little pieces on the inside here.
Hey, Kesley, while you're doing that, I'm not for sure. Did you answer the question that was asked by Dorothea? She was saying that she had the original maker, and if she could do those with her, can we do these things as, I'm not for sure if that's we. I don't, but she has the original maker, so I'm thinking she's asking, can she do that as well?
Absolutely. And all of your original Maker tools will work with your Maker 3 or Maker 4. If you decide you want to do the upgrade, you can do that. But, guys, use what you have, right? Get really comfortable with what you have before pining for the next greatest thing is always how I kind of joke about it. Like your machines will carry you for quite a lot of different hobbies that you want to do. So if you have the original maker, you can do all of this on the original maker. The difference is with the Maker 4 is that it cuts faster. And when you're using smart material, now your maker, the original maker, actually, that's a good question, Felicia. Let me touch on that, because the original maker and the original Explorers are not smart material compatible. So what does that mean? That just means you can't load the smart material into the machine without a mat. So you would have to put the material on a mat. which not a big deal. It might take a little extra time, but if that's the machine you have, then that's what you would do. If you're making, like, let's say you're going to, I have some lavender here to fill these in with, my little lavender jar. So let's say you're going to a lavender festival, or you're going to, you do markets, and you're going to set up a market with a whole bunch of bags and different things that people can put on the bags, and then however they want to fill the bags. Let's say that's kind of your gig. Then you may want to have that faster machine, so you're working at a faster, higher level. I do want to share my screen again. This time I'm going to show you all that we're going to go into the Cricut Heat Guide. Let me get my, okay, so we'll share this. Here's our Cricut Heat Guide right here, and it's Cricut.com English Heat Guide. So you can just do like a search Cricut Heat Guide, and this window will pop up. So you just select which machine you're using. And if you're using the Cricut EasyPress 2, and what material you're putting this onto. So I'm going to be using, I used Everyday Iron-On, or I could come down and choose the Smart Iron-On. My base material, it's not really a burlap, but I'm going to call it burlap because that was what I thought was closest. And then it will tell me 315 degrees for 30 seconds. So then you just use your EasyPress and change your temperature settings to 315 degrees for 30 seconds. So now I just have to cool this down. So here we go. We're going to cool this down to 315 degrees for 30 seconds. While this is cooling down, though, I can do a press on your blank, because you want to make sure that your blank has had a chance to get the moisture removed from the blank. So we're just going to take our EasyPress here, pop that down. It's about 10 seconds. I can put it on top of the whole thing. And this just takes away any moisture in your blank. Moisture in your blank between your vinyl and your design will cause, could cause your blank to not absorb, could cause the vinyl to not adhere. So if there's moisture behind the vinyl, it won't adhere properly. Just keep that in mind. That's why you do a little press before you get started. Let me do that one more time. Press that seam down so it's nice and flat, and I'll do that on this one as well. Now at Michael's, if you're doing t-shirts or anything like that, Michael's has these great t-shirt guides that help you get your design centered on your t-shirt. I love it, but for something this small, I'll just use a little ruler, just a regular ruler on this. Okay, we're almost there. It's getting closer down. So we've got these two here. They've been preheated. So I can just take my ruler, and you see it's 3 inches wide. So we'll put one here, 3 inches wide. 1.5 inches is my center. So I just like to take my design at this point. Let me grab this. And I fold it in half to find the center of my design. So just kind of push your, you want to just give that a little push there to mark the center of your design. And you'll see here, the bottom of your bag kind of expands a little bit. So you don't want to put it right at the bottom. You want to go up a finger or two and line that right up. So we want to put that just about there and line that up right there. Okay, and we'll do the same thing here and put that up there. Now these little sachets are, I think Felicia just put the link, the little Muslin favor bags are in there, and they come 12 to a set. So this is just a really easy thing. And then the lavender is also from Make Market. So you can get everything in one location that you need. Okay, so we're ready to put this on. I've got it set to 30 seconds. And so we're just going to put that on. Now I can just hold it a little bit if I want to, or not. Usually it'll tell you if you need to put a lot of pressure or light pressure. You can also do this with your home iron. So if you don't have an EasyPress and this is your first project, don't let that be an obstacle for you. If you're using a home iron, Just make sure you are not using the steam setting and you put something between your, I always say put something between what you're ironing on and your home iron. I usually do that with this as well because I don't want to, have anything stick where it shouldn't stick. So I'm just going to turn this over and we'll do a 10-second press from the back. And then we'll let this cool off a bit before removing it. And you do have different sizes of the EasyPress available. So you have, this is the 9x9, but there's a 12x9, and I think those are the two that are available. I have a little one, an old little one that I just love. It's like a little 4x4. And you have the mini press too, which is a great, I use that a lot, the mini press when I sew. Thank you. These are great. Fragrance sachets are a great gift idea. They are so much fun as a gift idea, and really, you can put anything in here. One of the things for Mother's Day, if you have to do a project for Mother's Day, I'm just using something cool to help these cool down a little bit faster. So that's all I'm doing here. But if you do the little air dry clay and some flower seeds and make a little ball that mom can throw into the garden and will produce some nice pretty flowers, that would be super fun to put in here. You could do a bridesmaids thing and put little mini alcohol, like the little mini alcohols, or some lemons in there if you wanted to. Okay, so once it's cooled to the touch, we're ready to just remove the carrier sheet. So this is the carrier sheet, that plastic that we're peeling off. And I like to kind of hold my hand down and make sure everything stays down as I go. If for some reason a little piece of the vinyl didn't stick down, didn't adhere down, just put your carrier sheet back over it and hit it again. The back side of the vinyl has your adhesive on it. And this is what, when heat is added to this, it heats up the adhesive, which helps it glue down basically on your design. So I'm just kind of walking this off and peeling this off as I go. Okay, so that is our first, our bag there. So let's see if we have, I have my little lavender here. So I just can open this up and I'm just going to take a little bit of my lavender in here and put this in the sachet. If you wanted to, you could put one of those little fabric sachets and put your lavender in that. So you have a little barrier there and it's easy to take it out. But I just kind of like to stick it right in there. Okay, so we just put that right in there and then you're ready to close that up. You can seal it with this little thing. That is kind of, you may want to put it in a little, what are those little things called? Let me see, I had one. Oh, like these little clear little bags to put it in. This is another sachet that has the scent beads in it that you can just pop in there. But if you're doing your lavender, you may want to put it in something so it won't spill out. But I did want to show you, and if you have questions as we're going along, please do feel free to pop those in because I have one little way to finish this off. And I thought I would show you a fun way to kind of tie these off using, these are your, the envelope stamps, the wax stamps. So I have one with little flowers on it and a heart one. And all I've done is added the stamped wax to a glue gun. And I'm just going to heat that up for a second while we're working on that and answer any questions you have about the Maker 4 or the Explore 4 and what you can do with that. While I'm here, why don't I show you guys too while that's just heating up there. Get my camera. Okay, while we're here, let's talk a little bit about the blades and what you can use on which ones are compatible. So if your blade is like this, these blades will work in the Explore or the Maker. It's just the blades that have the head here that only work in the Maker. So this blue blade is my foiling blade, and you have a little foil tip that goes in there and it allows you to use foil. So you can add like a little bit of gold decoration to a t-shirt or something. I mean, not a t-shirt, to a card or something. That's what you would use. This is the fine tip blade. No, sorry. This is the deep cut blade. As you can see, I've cut something with it. The deep cut blade allows you to cut deeper materials on both the Explorer and your Maker. So you can use that on both machines. The fine tip is just, this is the fine tip one, the silver, and this is what your machine comes with. And then as you work your way through the different blades, if you wanted to, you have, this is this, I think this is the scoring blade, the 01 is the scoring blade. They have numbers on the blade so you can figure out which blade each one is. So this is the 11 and this does a perforating wheel. So if you want to make tip stickers, or not stickers, but cards, and have like a little ticket that you can tear off and perforate, that's a fun one to use. This is the rotary blade here. And then you have the debossing blade here, or this might be the etching blade. I don't use that one as much, so I'm not 100% sure. And then this is another deep, deep cut blade. So just some of the different blade tips that you can use. You can also use the scoring tool with your Maker 3, your Explorer, your Joy machines. This is what allows you to get like that nice fold crease to your machine. And then you have in clamp A, that's where you can put your pens and things like that. So if you wanted to cut some pens or write with your pens, you can do that in clamp A on all of the different machines. With your Cricut Joy, you do need to make sure that you use the Cricut Joy pens. Okay, so I'm just gonna give this like a little closure here. So you got the little thank you. And then we'll add a little ribbon here so I can hang this onto a basket or something. Just tie this on. All right. What other questions do you guys have about using your Cricut machines? I'd love to know what you guys are working on. We have Mother's Day and Father's Day coming up. So you may be working on some cards or maybe some garden signs. Might be something that's coming up. We do have a really beautiful Mother's Day project coming up, I think in 2 weeks. And that's going to be using your cards to cardstock, cutting out cardstock with your machine. Okay, so I just have my little heart and my flower. So what I'm going to do is put out a squirt of the wax, like that much, and then I'll put my stamp on top of it, and we'll leave that to cool until I can peel it off. So I'll just do both of those like that. And then Recollections has this these sticker sheets that are circles. So you can just peel off one side like that, take your wax, place it on the circle. So the circle underneath it's adhesive on both sides. So you expose one side of it and then you peel it off. So that adds like a little adhesive tab on the back side of your wax. And then on the thank you, you just can put that right there like that. And adds a little decoration on there. What I like to do, if it's got adhesive still on the back, then I will just put a little bit of powder on there. And that's really just a really cute way to finish that off. Now, I do want to mention, thank you, Jennifer, for mentioning this too. If you're just getting started with your machine, you want to go ahead and use that time. Cricut offers 30 minutes with a professional from their customer support staff to help you get set up. So what I want to encourage everybody is to use their use that service and get started with your machine, whether it's the Maker 4 or the Explorer 4. You definitely want to give them a call as you get that set up, because it'll help answer all those questions. Customer support is excellent, and they will really walk you through it. So that's a great way to get started. You do also get 30 days free of Cricut Access. So I always say, like, if you're getting a new machine or you haven't signed up for Cricut Access before, let's say, like somebody earlier said, I have a Cricut 2 that's still in the box, an Explorer 2 that was still in the box. Get it out of the box. Set up your Cricut Access. You get 30 days free. So you can really try it out, do lots of different things. If you figure that you use it a lot, great. You know you're going to use Cricut Access a ton. If you don't use it a lot, then maybe you know that that's not for you at that point in time. But they do give you that 30-day trial, which is fantastic to really kind of work through things. I want to encourage you guys to go to the YouTube channel for other Cricut classes we've done that help get you started and walk through. And let me just also, I'm going to show you again, if you want to, I'd love for you to follow along with what I create. I do post my projects up on my, let's see, up on my profile. So like if you wanted to go to the home screen and if you wanted to find me, you could just type in my name, Kesley Anderson. And then as you scroll down, there's one of my projects right there, Kesley Be Kind. But you can see a lot of the different projects I've shared. You used to be able to go down and find, oh, there it is, profiles right there. So I'm the first one right there, Kesley Anderson. Click on it. And then right here, it would say follow. So then you could just follow along and see all the different projects I share. If we've done a class, I share it right here. So I will take a picture of our project today to add that into the class. And then a lot of times too, if we've done a class, it's a Michael's project, I'll put a link to the YouTube. So if you see something, you're like, how did you make that? You can follow along and see how I've made them there. And do please share your projects with everybody. Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I've had my glue gun wax for a long time. I think you can get it at Michael's. If not, Michael's has like this little candle heat thing, but I wasn't sure with the timing on this if I wanted to use that. But you can like heat up a little, it's like a spoon, and then you can dip it out and do your little stamp that way. I just like working on the little plate like this because when I pop off my little guy here, and then I can just remove the emblem right on there. And the stickers make it so easy. You can put these on really anything, cards or anything like that. Great, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do keep those questions going. Also, you can reach out if you have questions. I'm trying to think of the best way to reach out if you have questions. I am on TikTok, Kesley.365. I used to be on Instagram, but I'm not anymore, but I am on TikTok. So Kesley.365. If you have questions, you can reach out to me there. And I'd love to see what you're making. I'm also on Facebook, so in the Cricut group, so you can reach me there. Thanks everybody for joining us today, and I can't wait to see what you make with your new Maker 4 or Explorer 4. Have a great afternoon and a good kickoff to your week. Thanks, Felicia.